Around the age of 15, I moved in with my grandmother after my grandfather had passed. My room was in the basement and hers upstairs. We had a German shepherd as well named Lottie. One night while sleeping, I suddenly became very cold and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I woke up facing the wall of my room since my bed was pushed against it. I turned around out of instinct and saw a figure standing behind my bedroom door. The only way for me to describe what I saw is to imagine the multicolored light of a prism being projected through a fog that was shaped like a man. This is the only time in my life where I could not speak. I was frozen with fear for what felt like an eternity. My door was opening and shutting as he just stood there. I finally was able to scream, "Go away," and I burst into tears and screamed for my grandma. Her and Lottie came into my room and Lottie whimpered while going in circles. Never seen her do that before. My grandmother said she has seen angels as well, and I should not be scared. Nothing out of the ordinary ever happened again, but I always had that feeling of being watched. My grandfather died in that house, and my only explanation is that it was him watching over me. I thought I would feel joy, though, and not such an intense fear from a loved one on the other side. It still haunts me.
A recount of the first ghost encounter in Mount Vernon from 2006 supervisor from the History Interpretation Department. My first encounter with a ghost occurred in the Yellow Room of the Mount Vernon Mansion in 2006. I was a supervisor in the History Interpretation Department. Supervisors clear and lock the mansion after checking and rechecking for assurance that no one has been left in the mansion after hours. After letting the last interpreter out the study door, I walked up the back stairs, past the Washington's bedchamber, and into the Yellow Room. I suddenly felt myself being pushed, feeling the pressure of someone's hands on the back of my shoulders. I turned to look, and no one was there. It was obvious I wasn't wanted in the yellow bedchamber. This happened several more times, and I decided I would not go back upstairs if alone. I invited another interpreter to stay with me and travel the back stairs to the Yellow Room. Nothing happened. The next time when I was alone, I was once again pushed through the room. To keep this from being disturbed, I felt it was best that I not use the back stairs, but to remove my shoes and cross through the downstairs bedchamber to the central passage and lock the door for the evening.
My older sister has a ghost that's followed her around for years. I lived with her once for about 3 months, and so much weird stuff happened in that time. All my sister would say to me when I mentioned it was that her ghost didn't like me being there. Things like going to bed with everything locked up and switched off and waking up in the morning with the back door open, lights on, and the kettle switched on. One night, my sister and I were getting ready to go out, and I'd asked to borrow her liquid foundation. I used it and put it back where she kept her makeup. 10 minutes later, she's asking me for it, and it was nowhere to be seen. She accused me of taking it and made me buy her a new one and refused to listen to my side of the story. About a year or so later, when she was packing to move to a new house, she found the makeup in a shoebox with some old letters. The shoebox was in a zipped-up suitcase that was underneath her bed. But probably the most scared I ever felt was one afternoon when I was the only one in the house, which never happened as 4 other people lived there. I'd arrived home from work and headed straight to the bathroom. All the doors, windows, etc. closed. I was standing in the bathroom and started squeezing a pimple on my chin when a female voice in the hall said,
"Stop picking your zits!"
It was loud enough and sounded real enough, and at the time, I thought it was my sister. So I laughed, told her to buzz off, and asked what she was doing for dinner. No answer. I stuck my head out into the hall. No one there. I searched the house top to bottom, and there was no one home. I sat out on the front porch until someone else got home because I didn't want to be in there alone.
This happened in April. My mom went to the mall, 1 hour away, with her partner, and me and my sister were chilling watching a movie on her room alone. It was around 4. We live in the States, and you already know it is noisy, however. That day, everything was quiet, felt like a Sunday, but it was Tuesday. I have always been the one who encounters paranormal things always. And my sister makes fun of me because she had never seen or felt something like it. Well, as we were watching the movie, she says, "Ma," and I asked her why was she calling Mom. She's in the bathroom. I know it wasn't our mom because whenever my mom comes into the house, 1, you can hear it. 2, she always goes, "Donde están mis hijos?" Where are my children? In the most Hispanic way possible. My sister gets up and says, "No, for real. Check the bathroom." I saw her walking in and I said, "You go and check." We both went and nope, there was no one. By the point I'm thinking she's making fun of me, but then I saw it. I saw something walking into the bathroom. And without me saying anything, she goes there. It goes again, and she started crying. Mind you, my sister is 18 and I'm 23. We just closed the door in the bathroom and she kept crying until a while later. I didn't say anything because I have experienced the paranormal before and there is no way I was going to say it's nothing, don't worry. During the last year of elementary school, I saw the strangest thing that has ever happened to me. We were returning from a school trip on a bus and had temporarily stopped for a break, so that those in need could go to the bathroom or buy something to eat. It was quite late. It must have been 9 p.m. and there were still several hours to go back to the city. The gas station was relatively isolated, but it wasn't deserted because it was on the side of a busy highway. But we were in the middle of the Apennine Mountains in Romagna, and there were not a lot of people from what I remember. The fact is that I was the last to have to go to the bathroom because I stopped first to get something to eat. Going to the bathroom, which is almost always in the back at Italian gas stations, I saw a girl in a suit that looked like an ala black diver's suit. It made me strange, but at first I didn't care. Then all of a sudden I saw her easily lift a car parked in the back with one hand, and I saw her take an object quickly from underneath. I remember well that I was very frightened when, having seen that I had seen her, she suddenly turned around and glared at me. She had long black hair, and although it was the thing that scared me the most, I don't remember the color of her eyes at all. I don't think they were weird or particularly scary. It was the way she looked at me that terrified me the most. I've never been so scared in my life. I literally felt my hair stand up in fear, like in cartoons. I immediately ran off to the bus crying and went straight to my teacher. I told her everything, but clearly she didn't believe me. But seeing how visibly frightened I was, she went with another teacher to see what was there in the back, perhaps thinking that someone had made a joke on me. Apart from my teacher and my best friend, nobody knows this story. I never even told my girlfriend because I know very well that like everyone else, she would never believe me. Even I wouldn't believe it if someone told me about it. A couple of months ago, my friend's cousin, a single mother, bought a new cell phone. After a long day of work, she came home, placed her phone on the counter, and went watched a TV. Her son came to her and asked if he could play with her new phone. She told him not to call anyone or mess with text messages, and he agreed. At around 11:20, she was drowsy, so she decided to tuck her son in and go to bed. She walked to his room and saw that he wasn't there. She then ran over to her room to find him sleeping on her bed with the phone in his hand. Relieved, she picked her phone back up from his hand to inspect it. Browsing through it, she noticed only minor changes such as a new background, banner, etc. But then she opened up her saved pictures. She began deleting the pictures he had taken until only one new picture remained. When she first saw it, she was in disbelief. It was her son sleeping on her bed, but the picture was taken by someone else above him, and it showed the left half of an elderly woman's face.
We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I Googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The the missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day, I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one text say, "Yup, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where is the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing.
A few years ago, my boss went on holiday for a couple of weeks to Spain. Midway through the holiday, he got a phone call from the police informing him that his sister had in a fire in her flat. So he rushes back home early, deals with the police and everything. My employers told him to take some time off to grieve, which he duly did. When he came back to work on a Monday morning a few weeks later, we invited him into our coffee room to talk and offer him our sympathies and support. About half an hour later, he excuses himself to start work. He walks into his office, sits down at his desk, turns on his computer, and checks to see if there are any answer phone messages. And the very first message that plays is his sister, screaming down the phone, "Help me! Help me! I'm trapped. I can't breathe." Still sends chills down my spine to think about it. As you can imagine, he was pretty traumatized.
I hope you found this video helpful and enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update whenever I post new content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment down below with your feedback or any questions you might have. And if there's a topic you want me to cover in the future, let me know. Your suggestions are always welcome. Thank you so much for watching and being part of this amazing community. Stay awesome, stay curious,